At the bird sanctuary, the September and October is when all the migrant birds come back from the north where they've been nesting. So they start to come back into the bird sanctuary. For the summer months, we have sort of a quiet population, just a low number of nesting species and a low number of nesting birds in general. So for this last month, we've got a little weekly bird sightings that we, like every week we summarize things. So we go from 50 or 60 species during the summer to 80 or 90. And we also go from just a few hundred mallards to 15,000 mallards, and we get all the snow geese from Russia coming to spend the winter here. So those would be the highlights, I would say, for this last little while. They come when the weather changes because they take advantage of the changes in the weather to use the winds from the north to help them migrate. So they've come with the last weather fronts. We had windstorms and lots of heavy rain, cold weather coming from the north, and that helped to bring them down into this area. So about 2 weeks ago, all of a sudden we had snow geese. We don't know. Last year it was about 70,000 birds shared between here and the Skagit River estuary just south of the Canada-US border down in LaConner in the state of Washington. There's a similar kind of layout of intertidal marshes and farmland and nice kind of rural areas away from the city. So the snow geese like those two places, and they move back and forth during the winter. So we call them one population, so there's about 70,000 last year between the two places. The sandhill cranes, they kind of gather in the sanctuary at this time of year, and they kind of socialize a little bit, getting ready to migrate. And we know that there's one bird in there that's marked that was wearing a satellite transmitter, and it went all the way down to Sacramento for 3 winters. So we're assuming that a lot of our local birds do migrate down to Sacramento or that general area for the winter. We always have a little group of them that spends the winter here, though. We have a pair that nests here and is present year-round, and they seem to allow their friends to spend the winter with them. I don't know, this is a really interesting time of year to watch shorebirds, and there's quite a diversity of them, but also they seem to attract things like peregrine falcons, so we get a lot of sightings of shorebirds just sitting there and a peregrine falcon making them all fly away and swoop around and try to get away from them. So it's interesting bird watching. We have harbor seals right in the estuary, and there are some sea lions every year that like to go, and they haul out on the end of a rocky jetty that goes all the way from Stevenson halfway through the Strait of Georgia, about 7 kilometers offshore. Big, long, rocky sort of pier, and that's where the sea lions like to haul out. They wait for the salmon and for a little fish called a eulachon, which is an oily little fish, sort of like a smelt. In the sanctuary?
Yeah.
The sanctuary is always fixing things. And we might have a few new facilities, but we don't really have concrete plans. You might have noticed if you walked along the trail that we've taken an old bird blind and completely replaced it with a brand new one. We do that every now and then because a lot of our little facilities for visitors are made of wood and they don't last very long, and they start to look a little bit, not so nice. So we build new ones every now and then, but we don't go really gung-ho on new facilities very often in the sense. It's supposed to be one of the top ones in Canada, actually, because of its location. Right when you have a bird sanctuary right in the estuary where the river meets the sea, and if you also kind of cultivate a little bit of different habitats as far as the trees and the shrubs, then you have the very diverse habitat that attracts many species. Between all those influences, it basically makes a good wintering area. Okay. I'm Kathleen Fry, the manager of the George C. Reifel Migratory Bird Sanctuary in Delta.